everyone, it's Raina. So this video is about games Pisces people play. I'm going to be doing all the signs. I came up with this idea, I think it was yesterday. There was a book that came out in 1964 called Games People Play, and it was written by a psychiatrist, and it looked at the different ways that people interacted socially that were not genuine. I'm not going to go into the book, but what I wanted to say is that I feel that people play games with other people for multiple reasons. One of them can be because they're avoiding intimacy. So because in relationships, at least like significant other types of relationships or even parent-child relationships, siblings, things, situations, close friends, where you're supposed to be very trusting of another person. There are some times when people are not very forthcoming, and it's like a defense mechanism, I would say, also. But then there's the aspect of it where sometimes it can be calculated because they're trying to get a certain effect. And I think that one of the things that they're trying to do is they're trying to gain the upper hand in that relationship. So I've already done videos on narcissism and the signs, so you can certainly check out those videos on my channel because there's going to be overlapping material. I don't even remember what I said for those videos, and it may be somewhat similar, but I wouldn't say that every single person that plays games is a narcissist, but I do think every narcissist plays games. Also, another aspect of when I say playing a game, meaning that the person can't be genuine in these close relationships, that they always have to have some kind of an angle. They're always kind of being, there's an artificial quality that they are exhibiting that is making them act insincere and like fake, but there's also an agenda lurking behind that. So with Pisces is a mutable water sign, and Pisces people tend to be dependent. Oh, there's another aspect of this, is that these are going to be negative qualities within each sign. So, when you're playing a game, that's not a positive thing. So don't think that I'm picking on Pisces. I chose Pisces to start with, rather than start with Aries like we normally do when we're doing these types of videos. So Pisces is ruled by Neptune, and Pisces is a feminine sign because it's a water sign. So when Pisces is not self-empowered, they can be, at worst, even like a covert narcissist, which means the kind of narcissist that is a helpless victim all the time. And so people like that will sometimes try to convey the message that the person that they are manipulating, that's a good way of putting these games too, is that they are manipulations. But a Pisces person will try to convince others that they are their savior, that nobody else understands them. You're the only one that understands them. And you are the best person ever. Like, you are so compassionate, blah, blah, blah. Now, you may be those things. I'm not saying that you're not, but they will really pump it up, pump up all this. They'll put you on a pedestal is basically what it is. And if you dare to, challenge the Pisces person, to to like take responsibility for their life. Like, let's say one of the things that these types of people do is they dump all their problems on other people. Now, there's nothing wrong when you're in a serious relationship or even like a very close friendship to confide in your friend, but you also are mindful that your friend may not want to hear your problems all the time. So, especially if you're the kind of and I'm saying you, I'm not saying that the person listening to this is a Pisces, but I'm just using the word you. It's like if you're considerate, you're going to say, oh, I'm not going to, burden this person again because I just talked to them yesterday and they were willing to give me a couple of hours of just one-on-one time with them. And I really appreciate that. There's a quality with these people of whatever you give is never enough. And so also, if you notice a pattern where the person's always blaming others for their problems and you point something out to them that, like, have you tried to do this? Like, you try to help them solve the problem, they can turn on you like crazy. And a Pisces person who, I was going to say, who doesn't have inner planets in Aries or the moon in Aries or something that's very aggressive, may not get like nasty, but they may be hurt. Like, you're blaming me. You think it's all my fault. And that's a manipulation too, because they're not, what you will find, especially with covert narcissists, is that they have no intention of changing themselves. They just want to be able to complain because they want the attention. And that's the only way they know how to get it. So it's really about seeking attention by any means necessary, even if it's by presenting them in a pitiful manner. Sometimes these types of people have been emotionally neglected growing up, and so it can be a situation where they confuse pity with love. They think if people feel sorry for them, that they are somehow respecting them, loving them, and they don't see that the other person is simply pitying them. These kinds of situations are difficult because if you really feel that that person is suffering, you may want to help them. But it can be a situation where no matter what you do, they never implement anything that you suggest, even if they accept your suggestions and they say, you're right about that. They never really implement them. And one thing in the book Games People Play that was published, there was a game called Why Don't You Yes But? And I always love that one because I think all of us have experienced this where you say to the person, well, have you tried this or why don't you? And then they say, yes, but I can't do da 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 da. Everything that you mention as a solution, they have a counter argument for. And it gets so frustrating when you really want to be helpful to somebody and you feel like it's going in one ear and out the other. Well, chances are it is, because that's not what they're looking for. Sometimes the helplessness can lead to them always needing something. They need a ride somewhere. They need, some people, they're always borrowing money. They don't have, it's like their first chakra, which is a chakra of survival. And really, you could say taking care of yourself, or maybe even the third chakra, which is about power, is very underactive, or they refuse to step into their power. Again, sometimes this is, they're trying to fulfill a psychological need. If someone was neglected growing up, like their parent or parents were either working all the time or they were addicts or something like that, the child can have a hard time being nurtured. They're not being nurtured. So when they grow up, they're always looking to be taken care of. And when you're in a relationship, yes, you can take care of each other. You can do nice things for one another, but it has to be a two-way street. If one person is taking care of another person and the other person, isn't part of that, that's just caretaking. Somebody is a caretaker. And that's problematic because it's not coming from um, that sense of equality. And equality isn't tit for tat in a relationship. Oh, I did this for you, now you have to do that. It's simply that it's not a one-way street. And it's both people are feeling that they're being honored by the other person. Otherwise, it's very easy to feel used. It's very easy to feel exploited when somebody is treating you like that. So, there's nothing wrong with wanting to help somebody in need. Maybe lend them money, maybe, you know, buy them dinner, buy groceries for them, whatever it is that they need. But the problem is when it becomes habitual and that person always is asking and it's like a depletion. So, and I'm not saying that that person is trying to use the other person. They may this when we talk about games, I feel like sometimes people don't realize that they're playing a game. I think I might have said at the beginning that, it's calculated, and I think sometimes it is. But I think that these are a lot of times they're actually more habitual patterns, defense mechanisms, and things like that. So it's somewhere in between. And yes, sometimes there is definitely this way that they act because they're trying to um, get a certain reaction. And I'll talk about that when I talk about Aries. I just realized what I can say about Aries. But so being helpless is a way for them to feel cared for, I think. Now, sometimes there's other things going on that makes them helpless, but I'm talking about specifically when someone is able-bodied and they could do it, but they're not doing it. I think that it's because they want somebody to take care of them so they can feel like they are valuable people. Maybe not being taken care of as a child made them feel worthless. And they don't realize how destructive, self-destructive that pattern is, that hurts them more than it would hurt anybody else. And I think that a lot of Pisces people are good souls. I think that the ones that exhibit these traits just have had a lot of trauma and they don't know how to, stand on their own 2 feet in an authentic way. And so, in terms of how do you deal with such people, I personally am a big fan of honesty. I'm a big fan, compassionate honesty, not just, being very, cruel or anything like that. But saying to somebody, I notice in our relationship that I'm trying to help you, but it seems like you always are complaining and you're never following through on some of the things I mentioned. I'm going to, if I continue like this, it's going to be a codependent relationship. So I'm going to, let you stand in your sovereignty. You have the power to change your life. And you also have the power to find somebody to help you change your life, whether it's a life coach, a therapist, somebody to help you. Because, I've tried and I hope that you can appreciate that, but I'm going to leave it alone now. And you're still giving them a chance to be part of a friendship. If this is if a friend, sometimes the type of relationship you're having will dictate the type of conversation you have. But the bottom line is not to get sucked into their games, their portrayal of themselves as powerless, perennial victim, and not to feel guilty or excessively sad for their situation. You can feel compassion for somebody, but if you find yourself feeling drained by this relationship, then you have to be very honest with yourself, because it could be something that is not good for you, and it could drag you down. And so you don't want to be dragged down by somebody else's problems, especially if you've tried to be a good friend or a good partner. Everybody is ultimately responsible for themselves. So if I hope that I have helped you, and if you would like a private reading, the link is below. Take care. Bye.